답이 맞는지 모르지만은 이상한 게 나와서 이거 일단 이거 verbal reasoning 이거 하나 틀렸는데 포기할게요 진짜로. Professor regards the student's theory with a blank consider overall 이게 creative but logic lines but unsound. Ambivalence 확실하고. Dealer is unaware and believing the priority of self-interest was tantamount to blank. He took his extreme that he could never be sure of others' belief desires. He could have goes on. Solipsism. A retreat to nature. Thoreau. Henry David Thoreau, for a reason other than Zolas, to that it was a Thoreau believed that blank. The untamed put him in touch with the blank that by definition could not be replicated by scheming in the 19th century. Emergent in the untamed wilderness into the unknown. Replicated by scheming. 그렇게 되면은 unpredictability다. The wilderness is subtle, aleatory randomness. Like the nature's fickle changeability. Into the unknown. Is attributed the starting rate of a student that to the grade of first project of university, but in focusing on. 여기서 만약에 내가 여기까지 하나 틀리면 내가 진짜 포기한다. 내 단어 센스 없는 인간이다. 정말 한 번만 기회 줘. Is attributed the starting rate of a student that to grade of focusing on blank of these to the creative overlook. More troubling trained in belief that education is just another blank of value can be sure. Commodity. 이건 또 클리셰가 나오시네. Commodity. Focusing on the avarice. Then you're missing the great point, the whole concept, the basic problem. You know what? If you ever actually focus on the wrongdoing by the institution, you're greatly missing the focal point here. What matters most here is the very concept, considering education as just another commodity which can be sold off, which can be traded off by monetary value. That's wrongdoing. The instability of economists to blink that causes financial recession should not. As a criticism, it taken as a commentary on the limits of economic and science, in every science and physics, chemistry, with the put not faith in their result but in their blank. As long as they were adhering to the proper meaning and not as I believe the confident that the question can be answered eventually will be. Delineate the causes. Commentary on the limits of economic science. Analyze, you don't understand the reason. Identify. Methodologies. 그냥 mode of analysis가 돼야 되잖아. The mode of analysis 이 말이랑 똑같아야 되잖아. Scientific discovery is generally blank process, building on and supplementing the discovery made by previous research, but those discovery intended to often mean isolation of a previous blank. Darwin's discovery of evolution, for example, the main certainty was not obviously blank by the war of naturalists before him. Cumulative. speculative, building on supplementing discovery made in previous, compounding do. Human thought are often isolation of a previous exemplar. previous research result. 일단 calculation 무조건 아닌 것 같고. paradigm. contended. Argued. A paradigm example doesn't make sense, right? Paradigms. Those previous paradigms, scientific models. 그래야지. 그게 뭐 flawless 완벽한 그런 건 아니잖아. 여기서 하나 틀리면 뒤졌다. 빨리 해라. Communicating with the wilderness into the unknown truly helps them to, understand the unpredictable, fickle, and capricious of Mother Nature, removing this predictable scheme of 19th modern society. 그거는 내가 알겠고, 이것은 모르겠다. 패러다임 아까 모델이 맡긴 exemplar 근데 완벽한. 근데 뒤에 말이 contended, argued 해야 된단 말이야. Argued by work. 그러면은 Darwin actually conducted his work on his own, even though throughout the scientific history, the actual research and progress would be cumulative and accumulative. However, Darwin was completely unknown to the previous work existing before him because his idea was so original. No one before him had ever developed an argument to hypothesize his arguments in a similar sense. The model itself, it's not really a perfect example. This is a perfect example. Perfect example is infallible, but we are not talking about the infallible example, original copy. But the paradigm, the idea, the concept itself was never reasoned. That's much more appropriate in the realm of science. As far as I know, I don't know. 나 지금 내 verbal 인생이 걸려있는데 빨리 봐봐. 이제 죽었다. 어떻게 나 내 단어 센스를 걸었어. 아이고 하느님 미쳤다. 내가 단어 센스 여기서 포기한다. 네가 틀리면 내가 포기한다 했어. 나는 단어 센스를 포기한다고 했다고. 나는 단어에 무식한 년이라고 한다고 했다고. 진짜 죽일 년이다 이랬는데. 제발 제발. 안돼. 왜? What? Anticipated? Oh my gosh. 야씨, 요거 하나 틀렸다. 어떡해. 요거 하나 틀렸다. 왜? 나 anticipate 할까 말까 했긴 했는데 그래도 arguing 해야지. 그냥 before 힘인데. Though mainstream was not obviously anticipated by. 근데 왜냐면 before 힘이기 때문에 anticipate가 조금 이상한데. 안타깝다. 지금 한번 생각해볼게. Darwin's discovery of evolution, for example, the mainstream today was not obviously by the work of any naturalist before him. Somebody who was a predecessor ahead of Darwin. they never anticipated this paradigm before. I thought that no one actually, argued it before, so there was no record containing this type of suggestion before. 이런 줄 알았는데. Anticipated 왔군요. I thought that no one mentioned it before. No one researched it before. I really thought that no one mentioned it before. So there was no record containing this. So Darian was completely unknown to any type of bearing of his idea. 그렇게 생각했기 때문에 이걸 했는데 anticipated 맞다고 하니 할 말이 없네요. 이거는 일단 다시 생각해보는 걸로. 그렇지만 저도 이런 걸 다 이해합니다. Retreat to natural as retreat to nature appealed to Thoreau for reasons and solitude that it provided. Thoreau believed that immersion in the untamed wilderness put him in touch with the unpredictability. By definition, could not be replicated by the scheming of the 19th century mean. Replicated by the scheming. That means it would let him break out of the box. The very repetitive redundancy of the modern society could be suspended if he ever wants to get out of that frame, because simply reverting to the nature, have himself completely absorbed in the wilderness. Because that's really putting himself into the unknown, the full of unpredictable, fickle, and caprice. That would be the law of jungle. The Mother Nature's vastness cannot be reduced into the single portion of simplicity or predictability prevailing in the modern society, the day-to-day routine of the 19th century. 근데 내 거 한 거 오늘 다 지워버려라.